Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Pinnacle tier. This is season number 12 and the Brazilian Grand Prix. And you join us in a little bit of a change of schedule tonight as the drivers go out for a formation lap, a parade lap, if you like, to honour Charlie Whiting, who we sadly lost on Thursday morning. My name's Kieran McGinley. Joining me is John Worth. Jono, obviously, we've been fans of Formula One for so many years. Just how big of a loss is Charlie Whiting to Formula One?
Yeah, I think it's obviously a massive loss for Formula One and everyone involved in Formula One and fans like ourselves. It just, it was a shock for everybody, wasn't it? And on the eve of the season as well. I've been watching F1 for a long time, right back from the sort of mid-90s, and it's just always been there, isn't it? It feels like, and played a huge part in the sport from the safety side and the racing and rules side. So just encompassed, taken a large decision making in what the sport is today, and I think he'll be sadly missed, and very, very difficult to replace such an influential person in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. He's literally been the race director and the safety delegate ever since I was born. I was born in the summer of 1997. He took over that role at the beginning of the 1997 season, so I've known no different than Charlie Whiting as the race director. So it is a sad day, but the drivers here on their lap of honour to give Charlie Whiting that honour he so truly deserves. And he's done so much for the sport, including recently the development of the Halo, which Reuters reported saved Charles Leclerc at the Belgian Grand Prix from serious injury. And it just shows how far it's come in the 12 seasons he was at the very top.
Definitely, and so recognisable within the sport as well. I mean, people knew Charlie Whiting as well as they know, a lot of the drivers on the grid, didn't they, as well? And not a weekend went by where you didn't hear, his name mentioned over the radio, and obviously saw him stood on the gantry at the start of every Grand Prix as well to start that lights sequence that we see at every race. So yes, sadly, it will be sadly missed, and it's great to obviously see One Hub doing this lap of honour across all three tiers tonight in honour of Charlie Whiting.
Absolutely, and whether you liked his decisions or disliked them, whether you thought your driver was a little bit harshly treated or whether he got away with it, there's no denying that Charlie Whiting was one of the most respected figures in Formula One, and he will be greatly missed as we end off this parade lap now. And it is a bit of an emotional time, a very sombre mood as we head towards round 20, and hopefully we can put on a fantastic show for Charlie tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I know some of the drivers are wearing sporting black helmets, I think, in his honour tonight as well. So great to see, and what a difficult job he had as well, trying to balance the teams, the drivers, the rules. Everybody went to Charlie, didn't they? And it must have been a real balancing act, but just shows the measure of the man that despite that, nobody has a bad word to say about him, do they? So he obviously managed that absolutely brilliantly over the years.
And he will be greatly missed from Formula One as we draw ever closer to the season opener in real F1. He will be that big figure that is almost impossible to replace and imitate. And yeah, as we see the drivers there, old and young, know the impact that Charlie had. Kimi's known him the longest now in that sport, and he had some very kind words to say about that. And hopefully, Jono, we can put on a fantastic show for him as we head to qualifying for the Brazilian Grand Prix here at One Hub Pinnacle tier.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're in the pit lane then, and looks a little bit overcast, Kieran. Obviously, the weather can throw up all sorts, can't it, at the Brazilian Grand Prix? But at the moment, a bit cloudy, but the track is dry at least.
Track is dry, but what does that mean for the tyre temperatures when we get to the track? Obviously they'll be a little bit lower than normal, obviously with the cloud. It still gets pretty warm here at Brazil.
Yeah, it does, and it definitely will throw the drivers a bit. Temperatures will be a little bit lower, and the car just won't feel quite the same as it did in the practice if they've been practicing in the sunny conditions. Just got to take into account those tyre temps might be a little bit lower, and might take a little bit longer to come into their ideal operating window. So just another thing for the drivers to have to deal with. we're at round 20 of the season, so I think most of the drivers now will be well up to speed on how best to deal with that.
Absolutely, we got Sam in the chat there, sending his love to Charlie, and it's always great to see as we now head through to the qualifying session. Marley here. Well, I think it was a couple of weeks ago I made that joke that I didn't quite know who Marley was in the forums and the chat room, so he renamed himself on the forum to Kieran. This is Marley. So now I still don't know who he is.
Yeah, and you might see everybody retiring. I think we are restarting the qualifying session in a few moments' time. We'll have a few more minutes, Kieran, to talk while the drivers retire and we get back into the session.
Absolutely, and this just gives you a chance, or gives some of the drivers a chance at least, to get that banker qualifying lap in and just see what the car's like, if the setup is right. And what would be a great thing is if Marley here is on a flying lap, sets the fastest lap possible that he can, maybe a 108 or 107, and then the next qualifying session we have, it starts raining.
Yeah, absolutely. The drivers will have all been, like as I mentioned, probably pretty pleased to see the dry weather, but obviously now, we'll have to see what happens next time round. Looks like Marley though is going to at least finish this initial lap and just get that little bit of a bonus track time in, I guess.
Absolutely, and he will be pole position in this qualifying session. Oh, no he won't, as he goes off the track. That's the end of that then.
That's the end of that then. So, always, I've had this a few times myself when I was driving, and it can just throw you a little bit. You're sort of prepared to get underway and run the session as you planned, and then you have to retire, rejoin the lobby, do it all again, and it can sometimes just throw you off a little bit, I find.
Absolutely. There's also another car out there, which is Donkel. He is still out on track right now as the new lobby is being set up, and for some of these drivers there's no point leaving this lobby until the next one is set up, and I kind of agree with that one.
Yeah, don't blame them for getting that bit of track time. As race drivers, you're always looking for any tiny advantage, aren't you, no matter how small, over your rivals. So just getting that one extra lap in a sort of genuine qualifying session, online session, can't do any harm at all, can it? So don't blame him while he's waiting for the lobby to be restarted. Just quickly get a cheeky lap in.
Absolutely. And at the Brazilian Grand Prix then, the fantastic Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. And obviously Senna winning here in sensational circumstances as well. One of the first bits of radio we ever heard on Formula One was Senna there shouting in pure exclamation joy and pretty much fatigue as well, as shortly after that race win he actually fainted.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? I remember watching, heard about it many times, but watching the Senna documentary, which is brilliant, by the way. If anyone hasn't seen it, then recommend checking that out. And Senna, obviously fantastic driver, and you really see it meant absolutely everything to him, didn't it? That race, when he was done, he was absolutely mentally completely fatigued, wasn't he? It just meant everything to him, getting that result, obviously at the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Absolutely, and now I'm just going to accept this invitation, which means Jono's cut off for a little bit. So no, now he's not anymore. So you had the chance to say anything you like, Jono, but you missed your window.
I missed my chance.
But I'll make sure I spectate this time. I didn't spectate the other time. That looks like the official reason why we're restarting is people got 5-place grid penalties on the parade lap, the lap of honour. So that's why we're restarting the qualifying session.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone will get another equally fair chance at it, won't they? So we'll be back underway any moment anyway. And I was talking beforehand, when I heard about the Brazilian circuit here in Interlagos. I always struggled here myself, but it's a really fun circuit, I think, and a really popular classic circuit on the calendar. I think it's liked by the drivers and the fans alike.
Absolutely, the challenging turn one, I know from experience. It's that mixture if you want to attack the corner, but also it's very, very easy, ridiculously easy to lock up going into turn one. It sort of goes downhill into the entry and cambers to the left, which is not what the car wants to do at all. But when you head through the centre S's and you get them absolutely right, it's one of the best feelings around this circuit. Sector 2 then becomes that sort of in-winding section. You've got the fast corners of turns 4, 5, 6 and 7. Then from through turn 8 and 9 through turn 10, 8 and 10 would be good overtaking opportunities. You've got to be sure of yourself on the brakes though as you make your way into the braking zone. And ideally you want to be side by side, but the drivers will be taking advantage of the two DRS zones, one down the start-finish straight. The first activation point is just before that slight left-hander at the start-finish straight. Then the second DRS zone is just after turn 3 on the run down towards turn 4. So that is where you can expect some of the drivers to be making their overtakes through to turn 1 and down towards turn 4. Well, Jono, Sam's asking us in the chat to make some predictions.
Oh, I couldn't possibly say, Sam. My predictions were made in the late night talk show on last Sunday, and I think you might have been my favourite actually, but at the time. But it's race day now, so I'm going to keep my predictions at that for now, and we'll see what happens. What do you think, Kieran?
I think obviously Donkor here tonight. We've seen Marley have sensational pace over the last couple of races, and saying that, he's just left the session, which is really unlucky there. And oh, look what I said, Jono. Oh my goodness. What I said actually came true. It's pouring down with rain. Well, the strategies have definitely changed now. To come back to the predictions then, it's going to be a really interesting one. Obviously, we've got Donkor and Samster battling away. We saw a sort of resurgence from Reflow actually in the last race, so it's going to be pretty nip and tuck. Actually, I'm going to side with Donkor. I'm going to create a rivalry between us, Jono.
Yeah, no problem in that at all. And there's nothing, it's twisted all season between Reflow, Donkor, and Sam, isn't it? Really, for the race victors more often than not. Obviously, Marley's then come along as well and got some great results. But I think I went for Sam in the talk show purely because he hasn't won a couple of rounds, and it just seems to be changing between those two drivers every race.
Absolutely, and intermediate tyres being used by all of the drivers. So obviously, with the rain coming down, some of the drivers feeling that it's not yet time to go onto the full wets, and this is where you're expecting everybody to rush out onto the circuit to try and get that lap in. This sort of tells me, with everyone trying to get out at the same time, that more rain is on the way and it's only going to get heavier.
Yeah, it already looks reasonably heavy, isn't it? Obviously, intermediates are the tyre of choice, but a fair bit of spray out there already, and the drivers have got to try and get their heads around now. The fact that 1 minute, it was dry just 5 minutes ago, and they were all set for that, and now they have rain to deal with in qualifying. So perhaps some quick setup changes have taken place, but the fact they haven't jumped out the pits means I think they've probably stuck with pretty much what they were going to go with anyway, and they'll try and make it work.
Absolutely, as that is CSS then, making his way now through turn 11, and always the back end wants to step out. If the setup is wrong and you go through turn 11, you can lose that back end. It's not going to be very nice to you as you now head through turn 14, then through turn that's 14, then through 15. You can see there CSS losing their back end very slightly. The sun is trying to poke through, but the rain is still belting down on the circuit. Then we ride on board with CSS then as we make our way down towards turn 1. I think this is one of the first hot laps in the wet we've had as we now make our way through turn 2 and then coming through turn 3 now. And normally in the dry this is all flat out from here on in, but in the wet you have to be so careful with that back end then as we now make our way now down towards turn 4. No DRS in the rain then as we make our way down towards turn 4. Want to keep an eye on those curbs there, use them in the dry, avoid them in the wet as we now make our way through turn 5, sliding through is CSS. We make our way up through turn 6 now. Now normally you're dropping 2 gears and trying to keep it as tight to the inside as possible. In the wet you're trying to keep it on the track as much as possible. Now heading through turn 8 and coming down towards turn 9. In the dry, drop a gear down here. If you have to go down to second to try and get a little bit of traction, no one's going to judge you. Heading now up towards turn 10. a big overtaking opportunity for some drivers. They'll try and launch it down the inside, especially some of the more impatient drivers. Now coming down through turn 11. Again, there's a little bump in the circuit there that can unsettle the car, and the back can go spinning around. Heading now towards turn 12. Keep it tight on the entry to keep it nice and smooth on the exit, and now making our way uphill through 13. Now coming through turn 14. And then heading our way through turn 15 now. CSS coming towards the line. And what is the first lap time in these wet conditions going to be? It's a 1:18.8 from CSS then.
Yeah, and it was a reasonably tidy lap, didn't it? Difficult to know, obviously, yet where that will leave him in the final standings. A long way to go, but he got the banker lap in. Looks reasonably neat and tidy. He's got a feel for the grip now. So, yeah, CSS lap on the board there with a 1:18.8.
Replay then 1:19.5. In these tricky conditions, and I wonder if it's a case of whoever was out on first on circuit is going to get the best lap times. White Fountain there 1:19.0, Brumadinho 1:19.545, 1/1000th of a second off Reflow there. How's that for a lap time? Pete then P5 1:19.5, TK's come across the line 1:21.0 as Joe tiptoeing his way now through turn 4 as he looks to make his way through turn 6 now. And lots of lap times coming in now. We've got Dunkel there, P6, 1:19.9 as he goes off at turn 1. Catching the grass a little bit there on the entry, and that just sends you straight on, whether it's the dry or the wet. Heskey time then, 1:20.5. I'm West, 1:25.9 there. As lots of... oh, that's Matt FNG there, 1:19.8 as he makes his way now through turn 1. Scorpion there, making his way through turn 9 this is. Very cautious there as he makes his way now up the hill towards turn 10, and unlike CSS, who was really attacking these corners actually, you can see on board with Scorpion he's opting for a much more cautious line. Whether he's actually going to complete this lap or not, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's proved a very competitive lap, hasn't it, from CSS there. And Sam just exited the pit, so Sam, Lukey and Marley, they're doing something a little bit different, and yeah, not running the strategy of getting out as quick as they can, so perhaps the rain is here to stay.
Absolutely. Scorpion then 1:21.2. That is McLaren hot on the tail of the Toro. So that is Pete there, making his way through the centre S's. And obviously there's a different strategy when it comes to... Ooh, that was Pete there, losing the back end through turn 3. Lukey has retired from the session. Not quite sure where. It says sectors 1 and 2, so we'll try and keep an eye out for that one. Not sure if that's turn 1. No, can't quite see Lukey there, but he has retired from the session, as has Lawrence earlier on, very early in this session. He retired. But and now TK's retired as well. Maybe they're all thinking that there's no point carrying on, but sometimes in a wet qualifying, Jono, you put on a heavy fuel load, put on a set of tyres, and just do as many laps as you can. Yeah,
why not? You may as well keep circulating. So yeah, I don't know quite why the likes of TK have retired, but yeah, you may as well keep circulating. You never know if the rain might just ease a fraction at the end of the session, or you might just nail a lap, get used to the conditions, and go that bit quicker. So yeah, I'd be inclined to probably put reasonably heavy fuel load in and just keep putting the laps in.
And Brumadinho there, 1:18.6. As you can see, those intermediates do need a couple of laps to really warm up. There's no use in doing just one lap on them. You need to keep going, keep circulating the track, keep those tyre temperatures up, because the more water you're displacing here, the better you can really achieve for your lap time. As you can see on the racing line, you can see the lack of standing water, but you look on the outsides of the track, lots of standing water. You go an inch over the blackened tarmac there, where the sort of damp part is, you're going off the circuit.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to, keep it on the right part of the circuit. It's crucial in these conditions. Just can't push the track limits like you can in the dry. You've got to try and use the curves a little bit less. Certainly on traction, you want to be a bit careful on the curves, and especially that crucial exit out of turn 12 and up the hill through turns 13 and 14. Absolutely crucial to get that area right and on the throttle as early as you can and limit the wheel spin. There's an awful lot of time to be gained all the way up the hill there until you cross the start-finish line.
Here we go with Brumadinho then. Can he improve on his lap time? White Fountain 1:18.3 as Brumadinho comes across the line. So 1:18, it's exactly the same time.
Wow.
Incredible. from White Fountain and Brumadinho, but because White Fountain set that lap time first, he goes ahead of Brumadinho. Not often you see that one.
Not very often at all, and Brumadinho, while you have plenty of time to go quicker yet, obviously always that little bit frustrating that you just didn't manage to go that 1,000th of a second quicker, which is always possible, but just popping up that one more position.
You can see then the differing lines as we head through turn 5. You can see Brumadinho is much tighter to the curbs as we go through turn 6, 7 there. White Fountain was a bit more hesitant to take the curbs, and those two different lines have basically produced the exact same lap time. It shows you then in the dry, in the wet at least, there's at least more than one line to take.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we often see, at least in real life, that using outside of the corners, the sort of traditional karting lines, often delivers more grip, doesn't it? And you know, we often see Lewis Hamilton taking different lines to virtually any other driver to just hunt down the grip, often staying off the traditional racing line where the rubber has been laid, delivers more lap time. And so, yeah, there's definitely different lines to take in the wet, rather that can just find you that bit of time that maybe other drivers don't think about.
Brumadinho 118.1 there, as he now backs off. He's heading towards the pit lane. I'm assuming there's going to be a fresh set of tyres, new fuel loaded as well. And here comes Farth then. Oh, losing the back end. He's lost it. Into the wall he goes, and Farth is out of qualifying. Oh, he lost the back end there going through turn 14, and, well, couldn't quite pull off a Max Verstappen there. He's out of qualifying.
Wow, and I don't think that's the first time I've heard you say that line this season. And yeah, unfortunately for Farth, out of the session once again, and yeah, not quite able to do a Max Verstappen there, was he? That was an incredible spin and save from him. And unfortunately, Farth, yeah, not in the same situation, and so the Mercedes in the wall, and he'll be starting from the back of the grid.
Well, Reflow there, 118.9 at the moment. We have seen a little bit of a resurgence for Reflow towards the tail end of this season, Jono.
Yeah, we have indeed. He's looked pretty strong, hasn't he? Had that win just 2 races ago, I think it was. And so, yeah, he's looking strong once again. Strange, I guess, to see our championship leader, Sam. He's back out again. He didn't set a time on his first set of intermediates, so he's come back out again. So the pressure on him a little bit. Obviously, 7 minutes to go, and without a time on the board as yet. And I'm interested to see how Dunkel gets on as well, because we've talked about his struggles in the wet, haven't we, at previous races this season. And so interested to see what he can do currently there in P10.
Here comes Pete then towards the line. Dunkel's teammate goes up to P5 with a 118.9, and locking up getting into turn 1 there. But yeah, up to P5 he goes. Heskey time up to P8 with that latest lap time of 119.2. And Iron West and Jaw now heading out of the pit lane. Champion then, Samster, making his way onto a flying lap then. He has set a 121.7, but that was invalidated. As we now make our way through the centre S's here. Samster just trying to desperately keep that car under control. There's a mixture here where he's trying to push, but also desperately trying to keep that car under control.
Yeah, the rear end was not playing ball there, was it? He was battling it all the way through the exit of turn 3 there, so not ideal for him at all. And obviously, you know, pushing quite hard now. He knows he needs to deliver on this lap.
Now heading up through 6 and then through 7, heading towards the braking zone of turn 8 there. And he took that far right-hand line, maybe to try and cool the intermediate tyres down, or maybe there was just a recovery of a mistake. Only Sam will know what that line was. But as we now head towards turn 10 now, taking that less soaking wet line then, as we make our way now through turn 11 on board with the champ, as he now makes his way towards turn 12 into the 3rd sector now, and it's all about getting the exit of turn 12 absolutely spot on. You saw Samster actually dropping the gear then, as Samster's lost the back end. That's a huge bit of front wing damage, and Sam will have to limp his way back to the pit lane again, but that could have been so much worse for Sam there.
Yeah, that could have been end of session, couldn't it? Luckily for him, didn't make contact with the front wheel itself, and so he's been able to recover. But it looked a bit of a scrappy lap up until then as well, didn't it? As you say, that slightly strange line, which I think was because of the way he ended up coming out of the previous corner from the from the wheel spin that he's suffering with. So pressure is definitely on him now, not looking comfortable in these conditions at the moment. I think Lukey though is saying in the chat that the rain is going to get lighter towards the end of quali, so perhaps with 5 minutes to go, those who've got a set of fresh intermediates to run might be in for an advantage come the final few minutes.
And you can sort of see on the screen there, I don't know if that's coming through, but the rain is actually getting lighter as we speak. So that is why Marley is diving into the pits there. He knows now that put on a new set of intermediate tyres and the track's going to open up to you more and more. White Fountain is just going out on an outlap here. And again, with just over 4 minutes to go, this looks like it's going to be him out there for the rest of the session.
Yeah, it does. So I think we might see these positions and times change dramatically then in the final 4 minutes. So definitely not all over for the champion yet. And plenty of time to get out there and improve events. The sun is now breaking through the clouds, isn't it? So but the track to dry up, we're still going to be wet come the end, but the grip level will improve.
Absolutely, riding on board with Matt then, who is on a fresh set of inters, I believe. Let's have a look at his fitted tyres. Yep, fresh set of intermediates. He now tiptoes his way through turn 6, then through turn 7. And again, that opposite lock then, as you desperately try and keep the car under control. You can see from this helicopter cam how much the rain has actually eased off here. It's still coming down, but much less than it was before. That could mean a dry line could start to form, but what this will mean then is the intermediates will start to displace more water than rain coming down. So actually, in theory, the cars should be getting quicker and quicker.
Yeah, they should. And Matt FNG then, just about to finish off his lap, see if he can move himself up from 7th place. But with the track drying so quick here, and it could well come down to the last driver across the line as the best shot at pole position here.
Absolutely, Matt then going up to P2 with a 118.2 as White Fountain now makes his way through turn 12, making his way now out of the final braking zone as he now makes his way through 13, then through 14 and then through 15. It's always excruciating here because this is the moment where you want to think, did I put that lap together? You've got all the time to think about it, and for White Fountain it's a 117.5. That's 6/10 faster than Brumadinho. That is showing how quick the track is improving. And Matt FNG out of the session. I don't know if he retired or purposely meant to do that. As Brumadinho then out of the final corner gets it a little bit wrong, but still with 2 minutes to go as we now make our way with Brumadinho onto the start finish line. And that is the stricken car of I believe that was Matt there. So yeah, Matt out of the session then as Brumadinho makes his way now down towards turn 1 through the first part of the Senna S's. I'm West, by the way, in 7th place. Not too bad for the Williams driver as he makes his way now towards the start finish line. And it's not going to be a representative lap this time around, but here he goes again for yet another lap. Heskey time in 9th place as he makes his way now towards the start finish line. What can this be from the Red Bull driver as he makes his way towards the start finish line? It's P6, 118.6 from the Red Bull driver. But as you say, Jono, all these times are coming in, but it could be whoever's the last across the start finish line.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, it could well come down to that, but nailing the lap is another thing altogether, isn't it? It's all good and well set yourself up for the best opportunity, but you still got to deliver. And talking about got to deliver, Samster coming up to the final corner. So can he finally get a representative lap in here?
Well, he's going to have the slipstream of Brumadinho and maybe Jaw here as they're going side by side now up the hill through turn 14. So Samster might have a little bit of slipstream. This might be the difference here as we make our way now towards the start finish line. Donkor was retired from the session. Brumadinho goes top, and then Samster goes top after that. 117.0 from Samster, but he's got to keep going surely, as that's a little bit of end plate there coming off one of the cars in front. But Samster's backed off then so he won't be making any further improvements to his lap time. So this could be a chance for Brumadinho here to have another go at it as he makes his way now towards turn 4. Can we get someone on the pole position that hasn't been there before? White Fountain, this could be an amazing chance to finally try and get that pole position. Heskey Time in 4th place as well. He's making up grounds now. Half a second off the pole position time. I'm West as well in 5th place. CSS in the pits. He's not going to be able to improve on his lap time. Pete, meanwhile, is still in the 118s, and the first of the drivers in there. But as the track is drying, the checkered flag is out then. So who is going to be the first then? White Fountain comes across the line. It's P3. No improvement made from the Sauber driver. Let's have a look at Heskey Time as he makes his way now up the hill towards turn 6. He's coming to the end of his lap then. Reflow up into 4th place then with a 117.4. Brumadinho now making his way up the hill. Could this be a moment for the Force India driver as he makes his way now through the final corner, through that final stretch and across the start finish line? Can he grab pole position? Yes, he can. 116.6 from the Force India driver. That's an amazing lap time for him. Not over yet though. Heskey Time's still out there as that was Samster there, 117.0. So 2nd place for him right now. We've got I'm West and Heskey Time both making their way up towards the start finish line now. Watching I'm West as he makes his way towards the checkered flag, but he dives into the pit, so he's abandoned his lap. So the last person out there is Heskey Time as he makes his way towards the start finish line. Can he get any higher than 7th place then? Yes, he can. P2 for the Red Bull driver. So it's a jumbled up grid then, and it's Brumadinho on pole position.
Absolutely fantastic that from Brumadinho and Heskey Time as well there to stick it on the front row right at the end of the session. So he benefited from the conditions being the best they've been all session. And yeah, front row we haven't seen all season, Kieran.
Yeah, absolutely. Brumadinho on pole position, a 116.6 with Heskey Time in 2nd place, but only by 0.02 of a second. That denied Samster a front row start. He starts in P3. White Fountain in 4th with Pete in 5th. Reflow 6th with Marley down in 7th. I'm West in 8th. CSS in 9th. Matt F&G rounding up the top 10. Scorpion in 11th. Jaw in 12th with TK 13th. Donkel surprisingly down the field in 14th. Lawrence, Lukey and Farth all not setting times during that qualifying session.
Brilliant session there. That was pretty exciting at the end. Track conditions coming to the drivers, and that made for some great laps there at the end. And Donkel, we didn't manage to prove us wrong regarding the wet weather driving, did he? So he's starting towards the back, so it'll be a fight back drive for him. But it does look like we've got dry and relatively sunny conditions actually for the start of the Grand Prix.
Absolutely, and because qualifying was wet, that means any driver can choose any tyre they start on. So this could be interesting. You might see some drivers go for the super soft tyres, go for a very short first stint, then go on to some medium tyres towards the end. Or some drivers play it safe and start on the soft tyres and definitely know that they can make it to the end. Which would you choose, Jono? What's the better strategy?
Don't ask me. No, I used to always like going for the slightly, avoiding the softest compounded tyre. I always thought that was often worked out to be the better race strategy. But of course, here now, everyone has got a brand new set, which always gains you a couple of laps at least within the race and go a bit deeper. So maybe some guys will stick on the super softs, and try and make that strategy work. Those at the back. Towards the back outside the points at the moment, they might want to do something a little bit different. But as you say, for the front runners, for the front row, will they want to bolt on the softest compound available and try and break away, or will they go for the safe strategy and and fit the harder compounds? We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Absolutely. Make sure you're flying the flag for your favourite driver in the chat below. Make sure you keep us bombarded with questions. We'll try and answer them, as long as there's not too much action out on track. Which I'm hoping there is plenty of, by the way, as we make our way on the formation lap. 17 drivers starting this one, and Brumadinho will be leading them down towards turn 1. And it's an interesting one here, Jono. The pole position man starts on the outside, heading towards turn 1. It becomes the inside for turn 2, but then the outside for turn 3. Now, Ayrton Senna made a big commotion over this, saying that starting on the inside here is not necessarily the advantage because it's not got the racing line.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a short run down to turn one as well. It really is. The initial launch is crucial. If the driver on the inside gets a decent launch, then the guy on the outside is instantly under pressure and perhaps has to yield into turn one. So getting that initial launch here, absolutely, of real importance, and completely the opposite sort of start to Mexico last week, with obviously the huge slipstream effect come into play. Here it really is about that initial getaway, and before you know it, you're on the brakes.
Absolutely. So let's quickly run through the order and what tyres they've chosen. Brumadinho on pole position, Heskey Time in second with Samster in third. They're all on super soft tyres. White Fountain in fourth place has chosen the medium tyres, the hardest possible compound. Pete in P5, Reflow in 6th and Marley in 7th. They've all gone for soft tyres. I'm West in 8th, he's gone for super soft tyres, while CSS in 9th on the soft tyres. Then it's Matt in 10th, Scorpion in 11th and Jaw in 12th. They're on super soft tyres. TK in 13th, Donkel 14th, they're on soft tyres. Lawrence in 15th, Lukey in 16th, both on super soft. And Farth bringing up the rear on the medium tyres. Only 2 drivers on the mediums, and White Fountain on those white wall medium tyres as well. Should be an interesting one. He'll be able to get over half distance, so we're not expecting him in until at least lap 22 now. So he's putting himself out there for the long run and starting in P4 as well. Should be interesting. He's got to keep his nose clean if he's going to make this strategy work. Moments away then from round 20 and the Brazilian Grand Prix here at One Hub Racing. The Pinnacle tier is just seconds away now from those lights, counting down to the very start of the race. Let's see who's going to get the best start here as we count up 5 red lights. Round 20 is underway, and what are the starts like? Lawrence has got a drive-through penalty for jump in the start. Let's see how the others go. As Samster tries to go down the inside as we head towards turn 1. As that's the Red Bull of Heskey Time trying to make up ground. He's lost the position to Samster as we head through the centre S's now. Can everybody keep it clean as we head through turn 3 for the first time? All the cars facing the right way right now. As we now head down towards turn 4, you can see then Brumadinho having to go defensive against Samster as we head now down towards turn 4. And it's Brumadinho still leading as we head through turn 5. So it's a good start from him. Samster making that all-important jump up then. Heskey Time couldn't quite defend from him. It's very narrow as he head up towards turn 6 now as we make our way through towards 7. And that is the Ferrari there of Matt making a position up against CSS. But now trying to put pressure on Reflow. Lost the back end slightly then. And actually that was contact with CSS as we now make our way through turn 9 now. CSS dropping back now. Drop down to P10. Marley now in 9th place now. As we now make our way towards turn 10. You can see that's the Mercedes there of Farth then trying to pick his way through the field. Started at the back up to 14th now. Remember, on a set of medium tyres, as that's the heart of Jaw there, trying to put some pressure on Scorpion as we make our way up now towards the start-finish line. So after the first lap, then Brumadinho is leading and Samster is in second. Will Samster try and move now down the inside? No, he won't. So Samster P2 for now. Heskey Time third. Then it's Pete, White Fountain and I'm West battling here towards turn 1. Let's see if we can ride on board with those two then as they make their way through turn 3. I'm West holding on against White Fountain. But have a look at the Ferrari of Matt F&G then. He's really putting Reflow under pressure as he heads down towards turn 4. Reflow having to take the inside line then. Maybe he's trying to attack White Fountain and defend from Matt at the same time. But there's your 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th positions. It's Marley in 9th, CSS 10th, Scorpion 11th, Donkel in 12th, Jaw 13th, Farth 14th, TK 15th, Lukey 16th and Lawrence in P17.
Wow, what an opening lap, and we've seen a few scrappy opening laps in this tier this season. That certainly wasn't one of them. Remarkably clean, and relatively few position changes as well. Farth, as you say, made up 3 positions, and Donkel made up 2 positions as well. So those two on the move early on, and Sam making that crucial move on Heskey Time into turn 1, and looking pretty rapid behind Brumadinho at the moment.
Absolutely riding on board with him now as they make their way towards the start-finish line, and the DRS will be active next lap. But here we can see now Samster, Brumadinho trying to defend the inside line as Samster sets the fast lap of the race. Samster a little bit onto the grass there, but you can see there Brumadinho slamming the door shut. There's the detection point. You saw there the white line. So now Samster has the DRS as we head now down towards turn 4 for the 3rd time this Grand Prix. But you can see that the DRS is not quite enough for Samster to try and make a move. Meanwhile, it's a 4-way battle as we head towards turn 4. Over the battle for 6th place now as Marley's trying to find a way through. Needle in the haystack stuff here. And that is Matt F&G having to try and hold off from Marley now as White Fountain was very defensive as we headed towards turn 4. And they all make it through in one piece. White Fountain, Matt F&G and Marley in the same order they enter those series of corners in.
Yeah, and Marley's actually dropped 2 positions from where he started in ninth at the moment and in that dangerous midfield battle.
Up the inside.
Yeah, got a little bit close there, didn't it? And White Fountain not giving up on that at all. Oh, and a little bit of contact. Got to be a bit careful. White Fountain on those medium tyres. He'll want to be going a long way into the race. He's lost it there, and that's going to really hinder his exit. White Fountain already through. He's going to come under all sorts of pressure now. Got Donkel and Marley side by side as well, and the 16 is going to help Marley here. And White Fountain goes very defensive, and very, very closely. Donkel's going to try and go around the outside and get his braking right for turn 1. He does get it just about. Stop, small lock up though, and a bit more contact. Donkel slots in behind once again, and Marley just waiting to pounce as well.
Absolutely. As we saw CSS diving into the pits then, there was contact and he had to come into the pits, but meanwhile Donkel makes the move on White Fountain, and White Fountain on those medium tyres. I wonder if it's worth battling these guys at the moment. Sure, you're going to rejoin ahead of them at the end of your stint, but you're losing time to the leaders, which is something you don't want to do when you're on the medium tyre stint. He's under pressure though from Marley as we head now through towards turn 8, down the hill through turn 9, then up the rise towards turn 10. All that's allowing is Matt there to try and pull away from the McLaren of Donkel as we make our way towards lap 5 of this Grand Prix. As you can see then, they're all still facing the right way. We've had 2 drivers into the pits, that's Lawrence and CSS, both in the pits for what I'm assuming is repairs. Let's have a look on board with I'm West as he challenges Pete for 4th place here. The Williams in the slipstream of the McLaren as we head towards turn 1. He sets the fast lap of the race in doing so. Up the inside on those super soft tyres. He'll be on the outside for turn 2, but Pete loses the back end very slightly, and that's Heskey time off up ahead of them. He's off completely, and it looked like he just went straight on. You can see him turn left and right there. I reckon he's got wheel issues, so he wouldn't go straight on like that. And that'll be hugely frustrating for Heskey time. Running in 3rd place in that Red Bull. Looks like those issues are sorted, but he'll be rejoining the track there as we ride on board with Marley as he goes round the outside of turn 4. Gets the move done. And is that trouble up ahead then? Sector 1 and 2, yellow flag. But I'm West makes a move up the inside into turn 8. Holding on the inside now for turn 9. He'll slam the door shut on the exit. And that's a good move from I'm West then. Up towards turn 10. Again, he's very defensive. That might be an opportunity for Pete there to try and have a go, as we've got yellow flags in sector 2 now. Not quite sure who that is involved with, but whatever the flag was, it's gone now. So Samstar making his way now towards the start finish line. He's got the lead of the race then from Brumadinho. And as we head towards the start finish line, that looks like Heskey time in trouble once again, and he has been off track very recently. You can see the dirt on his tyres there and the rubbish that he's picked up. Brumadinho still on Samstar's tail as we head on to lap 6.
Yeah, shame for Heskey time. Unfortunately for him, it's not the first time this season that he's had an issue that sent him off track from potentially a good position. So a shame for him, but I'm West battling hard, isn't he? And he's made a real impact since joining this tier, and currently in the podium positions, although he's still being chased and hounded there by Pete in the McLaren.
Scorpion making the move up through turn 4 as you saw it on the stream. He's now up to 9th place. White Fountain on those medium tyres predictably is going to start falling behind. He won't have the pace of the drivers around him at the moment, but come the end of the race, the pendulum will swing in his favour. We've got a battle here between a Haas, a Renault and a Mercedes here. That is Jor, Lukey and Farth then, as Heskey Timer has left the session. So might be internet issues, or that might be throwing in the towel. Either way, he's left the session. He will be going around as a ghost car. Farth getting a little bit loose there, going through turn 11 there. It looks like he might have a bit of front wing off on the left hand side, and front wing damage. There's a bit of debris that's flown off one of the cars there. That does look like the Mercedes this time around on the left hand side. That front wing has gone, but he's choosing to stay out there, Farth, as TK and Lukey both come into the pits, and medium tyres with a damaged front wing. He's going to feel that understeer very, very shortly.
Yeah, not ideal at all. Just made small contact, but picked up some damage, and he's picked up a time penalty now for his troubles as well. So not all going smoothly for Farth at the moment, but as you say, to make the strategy work, he's got to go a long way on those medium tyres.
Absolutely. He's got to make it at least over half distance, so that is going to be painful for him. But Marley still trying to apply some pressure on Donkel, both of them on some soft tyres as we head our way through turn 9 now. Samster still leading this race, and Brumadinho is just staying in that DRS zone at the moment, as Brumadinho still wants to try and stay on the back of the race leader, stay in touch with him. And Brumadinho's had some good races. As he makes his way now towards turn 1, you can see there Samster just about doing enough to stay ahead. And at that rate, Samster is going to be able to pull away from the Force India behind him. And lap 8 then, Samster leads, Brumadinho second. I'm West running in third right now.
Yeah, and those 3 front runners are on the super soft tyres. So you've got Pete and Reflo there, 4th and 5th on the soft tyres. So they're still within sort of touching distance just about of those front 3. Crucial that they keep them in check as much as they can while they're on the slower tyre. And that soft tyre will come into its own in the next few laps as those super softs start really dropping away.
White Fountain still trying to put some pressure on Scorpion as they make their way up the hill and now through turn 6. Donkel meanwhile under pressure from Marley as now they're heading through turn 8. Marley just trying to take a different line, trying to put Donkel off maybe as we head now up the hill towards turn 10. You can see there not many real overtaking opportunities for Marley to take advantage of as we now head down through turn 11 there. And then making our way towards the braking zone of turn 12. And it's about getting this exit spot on. You can see there Marley didn't quite hit the apex there. Ran a little bit too deep. Understeered through the apex. And that's going to cost him. But he'll be able to make up that time with the DRS. And he's got to make up quite a bit of time. You can hear the car scraping along the bottom. That's how low the car's running right now. Donkel's locked up a little bit into turn 1. Marley reacted to that one. And now we might have a chance heading through turn 3 again. DRS zone coming up. And Donkel looks a little bit under pressure now. He knows it. He goes right to the left-hand side as we now head down towards turn 4. They're side by side. Marley on the outside. Donkel on the inside. Donkel just about staying on the inside, but he can't quite have enough grip. And Marley around the outside of turn 4 gets the move done.
Yeah, nice move from Marley. Taking full advantage there of the 2 DRS zones. And Donkel did all he could, and he defended the inside as far as he possibly could. Tried to hold it on the inside, but you just don't get the exit. And Marley able to get that position then. So let's see now. He seems to have good pace. Can he place onto the back of the super soft shod Ferrari in front of him?
Interesting battle here developing between 3 cars battling for third place. That's I'm West, Pete and Reflo. Now I'm West on some super soft tyres. Now those super soft tyres are going to start coming towards the end of their life here. We're not expecting the super soft runners to run a lot further into this race. So this could be a chance for Pete and Reflo to try and get past I'm West here. But Pete doesn't quite get the exit of turn 3. Absolutely right. And now he could be under pressure from Reflo in the Mercedes. Pete moves to the left-hand side, but you can see how much wing Pete isn't running. How far that wing is tuned down for the top speed. And he was able to pull away from Reflo there, even though Reflo had the DRS and the slipstream. Pete runs a little bit too deep, going in through turn 7 there, and almost colliding there between the two of them. Played it very fine there, and TK's retired from the race then. He becomes the second retirement from this race, I do believe. And he's crash damage, that looks like. He did get a 5-second stop go before getting that retirement, so not sure if that has any correlation to it, but for whatever reason, then TK is out. Reflo made that move then.
Yeah, Pete could be in the chance of getting a position straight back here though. Although he is using a fair bit of ERS, he's the worst off with electrical energy of these 3 drivers, which could come back to bite him as he has to try and recover some of that. And yeah, it's pretty much run that completely out there by turn 1. So perhaps just having a lap or 2 behind these guys, using the slipstream to recover some of that electrical energy might allow him to fight back again in a couple of laps' time.
Tell you what, battle for the lead as well is developing nicely. Gap between them is less than half a second now, as Brumadinho has done his best to try and close in on the Ferrari driver as they now make their way towards turn 8. And again, we're not expecting the super soft runners to be running much longer into the race. Meanwhile, White Fountain has gone round the outside of Scorpion, and is that a telling sign of the condition of these super soft tyres? White Fountain on the medium tyres goes right around the outside of Scorpion, and up to 9th place he goes.
Yeah, maybe White Fountain has weathered the storm with those medium tyres, and they may well come into their own now. We'll keep an eye on the gap between him and Donkel in front. White Fountain, there's not a bad stint from him so far. He's managed to keep out of trouble crucially, and keep his car intact to be able to make that strategy of going probably halfway or more into the race on these tyres work.
Here comes Reflo then. What will he go? He'll go to the right-hand side as he heads down towards turn 1. Much later on the brakes then, round the outside of turn 1. Gives him the inside line for turn 2. And Reflow made that look easy as he makes his way now through turn 3. But Iron West will have the DRS to have another go at him. And Reflow tries to shut the door on the outside, but no way. Iron West with the DRS easily back past as Pete almost runs into the back of the Mercedes there. Just tried to leave the braking as late as possible. You can see on the exit there how much time he's actually lost to those third and fourth place pair. You can see now, I think up through turn 7 must be frustrating when you do all that hard work. You take some of the life out of your tyres to get past someone, and then you get past in the next DRS zone.
Yeah, definitely. That's all part of F1, I guess, especially on a short track like this. But we know from Mexico, Iron West likes to run low downforce, so perhaps they will struggle more in the middle sector, especially with the tyre wear now kicking in. But Reflow looking very strong in that part of the lap. But perhaps it won't be so easy for him to get the move done and make it stick and not get repassed in the next DRS zone.
Well, Farth then retiring in the pit lane as Samster comes into the pits from the race lead. Meanwhile then Pete now trying to go around the outside as we head towards turn 1. And he's going to try the similar move he tried on Iron West earlier on. And the three of them now are very close together. Pete here might have a good run on Reflow. You can see that Reflow didn't quite get the greatest exit in the world as we now head down towards turn 4. Pete now trying to go up the inside into the braking zone. He's got the inside line. Can he make the move stick then? As that's Reflow on the outside now off the track as Pete tries to close the door. He leaves him just about enough room. Very narrow part of the track. And now coming towards turns 6 and 7. Pete gets the move done.
Yeah, quite aggressive there from Pete, and Reflow ended up off circuit, but was able to continue. And Reflow made his way to the front of this little trio, didn't he? And lifted it with ease, but then fell back to the back, and he's not done yet though. Gets it locked up, and lifts there. Thinks better of that one, I think, holding around the outside there through a slot back in the McLaren, behind the McLaren driver, and look to get a good exit here and benefit from that DRS once more.
Absolutely, the two of them, Pete and Reflow, look like they're in locked hordes here. And that's only going to be an advantage for Iron West as Reflow actually comes into the pits very early for a soft runner to come into the pits. But maybe there's a bit of damage to that front wing we can't really see. Marley then in 4th place. Haven't seen a lot of him in the this ladder stage of the race, I should say. The ladder stage of this stream so far. But currently running in 4th place, 1.9 behind that battle between Iron West and Pete. Meanwhile then, Brumadinho is leading this race. Reflow's gone onto a set of medium tyres. Samster also went onto medium tyres. He's going to try and run those to the end of the race. He'll just have to be a bit careful on those tyres, especially in the later part of this race. He has got clear air though, which is a huge advantage to him. The next car is Scorpion, 4 seconds up the road.
Yeah, clear air for those drivers is crucial, and there was no wing damage on Reflow's car, so he's obviously decided that he was losing too much time in that battle, so it was about time to fit the mediums, and he knew we could get to the end from there. So that's his strategy set now. So crucial night for Brumadinho, Iron West. You know, how much further are they going to go on these super soft tyres? They don't want to get caught out too much with those behind on fresh tyres, and as I say that, Iron West at least enters the pits.
Yeah, that looks like that's going to be medium tyres onto that car. Meanwhile, then Brumadinho stays out. And Reflow's actually rejoined in front of Matt here. Matt, who also pitted quite early on. He's on 2-lap-old medium tyres, and that looks like it's going to be a good battle here. Reflow, who just wanted clear air to be clear of battles, has rejoined in front of one of the Ferraris here as we now make our way down towards turn 1.
Yeah, and closing onto the back of Reflow, so it'll be interesting to see where the pace stands between these two. And Brumadinho obviously pretty confident with the pace he has in the car to go longer than literally pretty much longer than anybody now on those super soft tyres. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him hit at the end of this lap.
Iron West then has rejoined ahead of this battle here between Matt and Reflow. Rejoins in 7th place on those medium tyres. That's what he wanted to do. And now he'll just want to try and pull away from this battle, but it's not going to be easy. We've also got Marley trying to close in on Pete. Now, will he have the DRS? Detection point is just after turn 13. You'll see the white line. And here comes that activation point, but we're robbed of that battle as Pete actually comes in. 14 laps on those softs, and he thinks I've had enough of them.
Yeah, he does indeed. So that's everybody in the pits, Brumadinho in as well. So we're about to see the shuffle. and see where everyone stands once they rejoin and get up to racing speed on track.
Absolutely. I'm West End, 7th place, as he makes his way now down towards the first turn. Now up to 6th place here, as they make their way through now. Where will Pete rejoin then? He's just on the pit lane exit. He might actually rejoin ahead of Matt here, and he does, but he moved across before the pit exit line ended. Well, that's a little bit naughty there from Pete, but he runs a little bit wide, and well, that is one of the easiest moves Matt's ever had to make, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Brumadinho is he's stuck in the pit lane, Kieran. He's dropped down to 14th, and he's still in the pit box by the look of it. So, real shame by the look of it here for the Force India driver after that great opening stint.
Absolutely, and CSS is also out of the race. Collision at the Senna chicane, and he's without a tyre on that car, so he is out of this race then. Third retirement here, and I wonder the fate of Brumadinho. What is that going to be? Reflow then, still trying to close in on Iron West as he moves into the DRS zone then. And, well, you can see how well suited that Williams is to a straight line speed. Even with DRS, he was slightly pulling away from the Mercedes. So, incredibly built for that straight line, the Williams.
Yeah, it's definitely how he likes to have the car set up, isn't it? We saw that last week as well, and it might make you slightly slower through the corners, but that's not why the overtaking's usually done, is it? And it does make him incredibly difficult to pass on the straights, and so it could be difficult for Reflow here. He's obviously quicker through the middle part of the lap, but I'm West driving very well at the moment. If he keeps it neat and tidy with that huge straight line speed he has in that car, he could well, this could be a good race-long battle hopefully between these two now.
Joran Dunkel also battling away for position. That's for 8th place, as Brumadinho has left the session. No doubt he's jumped out of his car and gone to say a couple of unbroadcastables there. But Reflow losing the back end out of turn 12, and that's going to lose him time here. That's not what he wants to do when he's under pressure from Matt as well. Also has the DRS on the Mercedes, but you can see that Mercedes now falling away from the DRS zone even of I'm West as we now make our way down towards turn 1. It'll be interesting to see here if Reflow still has the DRS. I think he's just inside by 1,000th of a second. Yes, he was. You can see on the bottom right hand corner, just about stayed in that DRS zone. Meanwhile, Pete then is trying to put Marley under a bit of pressure as we now head down towards turn 4. And McLaren putting the pressure on the Renault.
Yeah, I think Matt's got a good run on Reflow here as well. He lost the rear of the car, and Matt might have to go around the outside here of turn 4. No, he thinks better of it, might go for the cutback. But no, he's going to tuck back in behind. But Reflow under a little bit of pressure here and falling back on genuine pace here, I think, from the Williams of Vine West.
Absolutely. White Fountain, meanwhile, still leading this race, but he's under pressure from Samster, and I reckon that's going to be one of the easier moves Sam's ever had to make. Just under halfway distance. Once we cross that line, it will be half distance. As you can see there, White Fountain doesn't even bother putting up a fight there for the Ferrari. So Samster retakes the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Meanwhile then, Matt could try and take 4th place away from Reflow. Reflow having to go defensive here as they... Oh, Matt goes it straight into the back of him. Real misjudgment there, that's all you can say. But as we head down towards turn 1, on the outside for turn 2, couldn't quite make that move stick. But yeah, really odd. It's almost as if he wanted to try and move out of the slipstream as late as possible, but never did. But here we go then, down towards turn 4, and that made it look a lot easier. Then Marley even overtaking Reflow as well as we head now through turn 4, and Reflow in the space of one straight has lost 2 positions.
He has. Marley was waiting to pounce, wasn't he? And Reflow, yeah, not gone well for him. He pitted early to get some clear air. Well, it hasn't worked, does he? He's back in a trio of cars once again. So Reflow's going to have to work hard for his positions in this race, which is absolutely great for us to see. And Matt Effigy at the front of this group of cars. But he is on the oldest tyres, so very interesting battle awaits us. Marley on this just 2-lap-old mediums at the moment, so perhaps he'll be looking good as the race progresses.
Marley here has a good opportunity to try and get a move done on Matt as we now head towards the start-finish line. And he's got the DRS open, Marley. as we make our way towards turn 1. He's closing very quickly and moves to the left-hand side as we head now down towards turn 1. As he got the move done, locks up, heading through turn 1. And you can see a battle behind them as well as Reflow tries to hold off Pete there. As Matt then tries to go round the outside but doesn't quite get the angle right. And now Reflow's got a run on him as we head now down towards turn 4. Marley gets 4th place away. Reflow now up. Can he get through to P5 as Pete now trying to sneak up the inside of Matt here. He's now up to P6 and these guys are battling like their lives depends on it.
Absolutely, and Pete, real opportunistic move there. He saw the gap open, didn't he? And he just slotted his car in there. Said, I'll be having some of that, and moves in front of Matt. So Matt now suddenly goes from the front of the pack to the back. Position changes just happening so quickly here. That DRS zone down into turn 1, it's just so powerful, isn't it?
Absolutely, and it really helps when you get the center S's right and you're on the run down towards turn 4. That DRS helps a bunch as well. And it seems like if you're at the back of this pack, you really help from the double or triple toe you can get heading down towards the start-finish line. And all that battling between these 4 means that I'm West has pulled out a 2.9 second lead from Marley. And now here comes Pete then. Reflow goes to the left-hand side as we head now down towards turn 1. And you can see there, Reflow braked later than Pete then and holds on to 5th place then. So that was good braking from him as Scorpion there moves up. Drawn out into the pits. He was on some super soft tyres. He pitted early, remember, looking to try and go for a 2-stop here as Donkel's off at turn 3. He's lost a front wing.
Oh, no, Donkel, yeah, big damage as well on the McLaren. And what a place to do it as well. He's got to do
Reflow around. Oh, just about kept under control. 2 quick fire things that happened there. It looked like Reflow lost the back end as we headed through turn 7 there onto the grass. But yeah, I'll hand the mic back over to you, Jono.
No, yeah, all go, isn't it? And Reflow, it looks slightly unstable, his car, the back of his car. He's been struggling a little bit, I think, with it, and it's caught him out. And that's plunged him well off the back of this pack of cars now. And so he'll have to work hard to try and claw them back in. And we've seen how powerful Citroen is. It might be a difficult job. And Pete's already got the low fuel displaying as well. So Pete's low on electrical energy and low on fuel as well by the look of it.
White Fountain came into the pits and he's now going on to a set of soft tyres. So he's going to have 15 laps here on those soft tyres. Absolutely doable. Here comes Matt then trying to go down the left-hand side. You could see the McLaren wanted to cut that off. Wasn't quick enough to cut it off. And the Ferrari of Matt then moves up to P4. Good move from the Ferrari.
Yeah, good move. These two still duking it out. No inch given, is there? Absolutely going all in for every move. So, yeah, really, really good battle. And Scorpion and White Fountain close on track as well. And if they work together, especially White Fountain on those fresh softs, they could claw in Reflow here.
Absolutely, and Donkel has retired in the pit lane. And that will be the explanation for yellow flags in Sector 1. So Matt here actually going really defensive into turn 12. That's not always the best line because it doesn't give you the greatest exit. And you need that good exit as you now head through the 3 left-handers of 13, 14 and 15. He's in the slipstream now as Marley sets the fast lap of the race. Here comes Pete then down the left-hand side as we make our way down towards turn 1. And once again, the McLaren has the inside line and gets the position then up to P4 he goes. Meanwhile, White Fountain, as we head down towards turn 1, has a run on the Toro Rosso of Scorpion. Gets it round the outside and on those fresh soft tyres against worn medium tyres. There was only one way that battle was going to go. Then Matt now trying to make a move round the outside of turn 4. You can see there, he makes Pete go into a bit of a mistake then. Pete overcommitted through turn 4 and Matt said, thank you very much, I'll take that position straight back from you.
Yeah, there's just nothing to separate these two at the moment. Positions changes every single lap. At this rate, it'll come down to who makes a move stick on the final lap of the race, won't it? But obviously a fair way to go until we get there yet. But don't be surprised if we don't see White Fountain setting the fastest laps of the race. On those fresh on those soft tyres, sorry, and Draw looks like also running a similar strategy to White Fountain there in P10.
Absolutely, as Lawrence then becomes the latest car to retire from the session, so anyone underneath the top 10 there has retired from today's race. So if you can finish this race now, Jono, you're scoring points.
Yeah, and it's been a real race of attrition, isn't it? We start with 17 drivers and we're down to just 10, so this track taking its toll.
Absolutely, for sometimes the wrong reasons as well, as we saw there Brumadinho getting stuck in the pit lane. Such a shame for him. He was having a great day, but sometimes these things just don't work out for you. Pete then trying to chase down Matt as they head now up towards turn 6, then through turn 7. As we have a quick recap with 13 laps to go. Samster leads the way then, 9.5 ahead of Iron West. Marley's trying to pull him in though. He's in 3rd place right now. Matt FNG is in 4th with Pete there in 5th place. Reflow is in 6th with White Fountain looking to make a charge through the field. He's running in 7th place. Scorpion in 8th place. Lukey on 17 lap old medium tyres currently running in 9th place. And Jaw at the moment rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, and quite a close top 10 it is really as well. You look at White Fountain there in 7th, but got quite a few drivers within sort of, a few seconds of him. So even up to Matt and even up to Marley there, not too big a gap. So plenty for White Fountain to chase in the final third of the race. And as I say that, he's going to go around the outside of Reflow and try and make the move in the centre S's. And I think he's going to get a better exit here. Reflow though on the inside. So it's going to come down to a drag here. Who's going to have the better speed? And it looks like Reflow gets onto the graph and loses the car there. And that's Reflow out.
Well, very strange to lose the car like that. That's all I'm saying about that one. But Marley, meanwhile, riding aboard with him, he's still trying to chase down Iron West as we head towards turn 10. And Iron West has had a good race so far. He's got the pace and he's got that straight line speed, which has made it so difficult to overtake. But now Marley's on the back of him and he looks like he's hungry for that 2nd place right now.
Marley's just quietly going about his work here, isn't he? He was down, 9th place or whatever it was early on. Just gone about his business and made his way through the field, and he now finds himself on reasonably decent tyres compared with the drivers around him, and looking at a good shot, a really good shot here of getting at least 2nd place out of this race. So it's been a good drive for him so far, but how will he fare then at trying to get a move done on this really quick in a straight line Williams? Well, it looks like it's going to be easy pickings for him, doesn't it? This time round at least, gets it stopped nice and easily there, and so that's Marley then, up into P2.
Yeah, good move from Marley, using that DRS zone to overtake a Williams that we've seen is really quick in a straight line. But Marley made that look easy, didn't he? And now he's up to 2nd place, 10.1 behind Samster with 11 laps to go. Pete, meanwhile, is still trying to reignite this battle between himself and Matt FNG. But these two have got to be careful here. The more they battle, the more they're going to invite White Fountain to the party.
Yeah, definitely. White Fountain, he's going to be pushing hard. And yeah, he's 4 lap old soft, so he's still got plenty of life left in them yet. And he's hunting down Pete then, isn't he? And you can just about see him, that orange dot on the horizon there. So he's got a literal carrot there to chase. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make his way onto the back of the McLaren sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, and you mentioned it before, Jono, about Pete having that yellow indicator on his fuel light. Well, that means he's going to have to do some fuel saving at some point. What that's telling us is that Pete doesn't have enough fuel to finish the race. Meanwhile, I'm West, you've got Matt FNG as well. They all do, but what Pete's, I guess, he's trying to go for is a lighter car as possible to try and make these overtakes stick.
Yeah, and he probably had a plan to do some fuel saving, didn't he? But he's been in the heat of battle almost all race, and so no doubt using more fuel than he would have otherwise intended. And so yeah, he might suffer a bit in the latter stages of the race where he has to try and claw that deficit back. And as I say that, the fuel light has just gone out, so it looks like he's just monitoring that at the moment, isn't he? And just doing enough to ensure he has enough to finish the race with.
10 laps to go then, and Samster leads the way from Marley in 2nd, Iron West in 3rd, Matt FNG 4th, Pete in 5th, White Fountain in 6th, Scorpion 7th, Jaw in 8th, Lukey, who's just pitted in for a fresh set of super soft tyres, runs in 9th place, maybe looking for the fastest lap. No point yet for that one, Lukey.
Yeah, not quite yet, and it's odd this race, we haven't seen much of Lukey, have we? He's usually in that midfield scrap. But we haven't seen so much of him this race, but he's certainly going to be rapid now in the final, his final few laps of the race on the super softs. He'll be pushing, as you say, that fastest lap. Might not get a point for it just yet, but there's still a little bit of glory attached to that.
Tell you what, I'm West is really stuck onto the back of Marley here, and I think I'm West is just looking here to see if he can put Marley under a bit of pressure. We've seen it happen before, and I'm West is just trying to apply that pressure on second place man Marley. Meanwhile, Pete here is still looking at the back of that Ferrari, and how frustrating must this be right now, Jono, to be stuck behind a car and you're just about keeping that same distance. You're not getting any closer, but you're not getting any further away.
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to try and keep the pressure on, and mistakes will and often do happen, don't they? So use that DRS to advantage, do some fuel saving, which Pete probably is doing at the moment, and perhaps wait for your opportunity. He'll know he's got 4 lap pressure tyres in the Ferrari ahead of him, so no point going for anything stupid. Just keep banging in those lap times, keeping the car ahead within an attackable distance, and see what happens. Plenty of laps left to make a move.
Absolutely, and we, I believe, have 8 laps to go in this one, and Samster still leads, and Pete's still trying to apply that pressure. Interesting to watch White Fountain now, 2.9 seconds behind Pete, and actually as well as Lukey there does set the fast lap of the race, a 109.2. Riding aboard with Marley here, he's slowly taking a little bit of gap out of that lead, lap by lap. 8.8 the gap is right now, might be worth keeping an eye on that one.
Yeah, I honestly thought that was going to be too much of a gap for Marley to bring down, but he's certainly going to give it a go. We certainly know Marley not shy of a battle at all, so he'll be going all out for the win if he possibly can. But I imagine at the front, Sam driving within himself as well, and he'll certainly be keeping an eye on that gap, just as much as we are.
And still, Pete still remains that crucial half a second behind right now, as we now make our way through turn 3 and down a short straight towards turn 4. And again, it's frustrating for him, that half a second back. He does close in as we head towards the braking zone of now turn 4, as we make our way through turn 5. And again, just his presence there can put Matt under a little bit of pressure. He now makes his way up through turn 6 and through turn 7. And it is just getting a little bit frustrating for Pete right now as we move on to 7 laps to go. Pete knows that, well, he's keeping up this pressure, but if he can't make the move, then it might all be for nothing.
Yeah, he's pushing hard, isn't he? I've been on board with Pete a bit, and I think he's he's certainly not just cruising around behind Matt and waiting for his chance. I think he's pushing pretty much as hard as he can. But yeah, these two just trading lap times, lap after lap. I mean, Matt FNG, he's not one to buckle under pressure really, is he either? So it's going to be difficult for Pete. He's got a good run on Matt here though this time round. Will he have a bit of a look? He's gone to the inside. I think he's going to be a little bit too far back though, but certainly showing his hand there to Matt in the mirror, and just letting him know that he's there and he's waiting to make a move if he gets a chance.
Here we go towards turn 4 then. Matt goes to the left hand side. Pete then will try and go to the right hand side. He goes down the inside. Late move from Pete, but what a move it was. And that is a fantastic move. Up to P4 he goes.
Yeah, brilliant move again by Pete. Just about got it stopped, didn't he? And just completely blocked Matt off then from sweeping back past him. So bit of a block on the exit, completely illegal though, of course. And I wonder if Matt FNG there will just regret, he went defensive, didn't he? Then moved back to the racing line and just opened the door for Pete, who thought, thank you very much, I'll have my car down there and gain the position. So yeah, perhaps Matt will have to defend a little bit harder if he can make his way back past McLaren again.
Absolutely, as you were saying there, maybe he might regret that defensive way of display there. Obviously completely legal. You are allowed to make one defensive move, then a move back onto the racing line. That's completely legal. And like you say, John, might Matt regret that come to the end of the race then. 5 laps to go. Samster in the lead with Marley in second and I'm West in third. And there is the Sauber of White Fountain still trying to close in on these two. As you can see there, Pete goes to the left-hand side. Obviously feels that pressure of the Ferrari. He's made his 2 moves now. One to defend, one back on the racing line. And again, overcommits on the exit of turn 5 here. And now we see Matt FNG trying to close up, heading towards turn 6, not really an overtaking opportunity, but White Fountain is only 1.2 now behind Matt FNG as they both now head towards turn 8. And now down the hill through turn 9. Again, the exit out this corner is crucial, as it really sets you up towards turn 10. And it gives the driver behind an idea of what you're going to be like through the rest of the sector. Heading now down through turn 11, then coming towards turn 12. This could be an opportunity for Matt F&G to try and get a move done here as they head up the hill in the DRS zone. There's the detection point, you saw it there. And now here comes Matt F&G in the slipstream, DRS open. You can see there Pete trying to break that slipstream, but Matt's gone straight back into it as we head towards turn 1. Will he try and move down the inside? He will do, trying to launch it down the inside into turn 1. Pete's lost the back end and somehow kept control of the car. White Fountain taking evasive action, and look at that then, Pete using the escape road there to try and rejoin. He's got to be careful with that one, but White Fountain now sees his opportunity to go down the inside in towards turn 4, and that series of moves there came about from those two battling with each other. White Fountain now up to 4th place. Oh!
Yeah, it did. Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
Matt F&G there, I think, made a move to try and get out of the way, and wow. Not quite sure how to describe that one, but Pete's run into the back of Matt, whether intentional or not, and well, that's the end of Pete's day.
Yeah, I only caught literally the last second of that, so I didn't really see what happened at all. But what a shame for Pete. He was having an absolutely epic drive there, wasn't he? And it's all gone horribly wrong, all gone a bit messy in that battle. In the end, White Fountain, the big, beneficiary of that, just cruised through, didn't he? And took that full advantage of the contact and makes his way through to 4th, doing what White Fountain seems to do week in, week out, just make his way through and make his way forward in the race. But unfortunately for Pete, yeah, game over. So Matt now looking pretty safe in that 5th position.
Absolutely, and what that means is it's probably robbed us of a last lap battle here, but we'll have to wait and see how that develops. Scorpion 2 seconds back from Matt there, and yeah, such a shame to see Pete retire from the race then, and well, that's a sad way for it to end for Pete.
Yeah, and unfortunately in the chat
Samster's
there,
off.
saying that he shut his eyes.
Whoa, Samster's off. Right off at an exit of turn 11, lost the back end completely there, all on his own. And I caught that on stream. He'll be very appreciative of that one. What that means is Marley really closes up the gap now, 4.5 seconds. That's still coming down because of the momentum out of turn 12 that Samster doesn't have. 2 laps to go. I'll tell you what, this one isn't over yet.
Yeah, that's definitely going to give him a sniff, isn't it? He's still got that 4-second buffer, but obviously shows that Sam is pushing hard, and that's probably the worst corner to make a mistake on. As you say, he continued to lose time all the way down that straight section of track. So 3.6 seconds then Marley has got to try and make up, but he's only got now a lap and a half just about to do it in.
Gap's down to 3.5 though, now back up to 3.7. But, well, Samster there, a rare error from him in what's been for him a pretty uneventful race. He did have that battle with Brumadinho at the start of the race, and unfortunately, due to circumstances, Brumadinho had to retire from the race through no fault of his own, and Samster from then on has gone on to have a pretty uneventful race, apart from going across the grass on the exit of turn 11, and well, he's now going around turn 12, up the hill he goes through the 3 left-handers, and he will be starting the final lap of the race in the lead. And I wonder, will he be able to finish it? Watch out for that yellow indicator. Samster's right on the bubble of finishing this race with enough fuel, so he's got to do a bit of fuel saving. How about Marley? No red fuel indicator from him. You can see that is hot lap mode on the ERS. He's not given up on this one yet, so we'll have to wait and see how this develops.
Yeah, Marley's certainly not one to give up, that's for sure. He's going to give it absolutely everything. Barring the mistake from Sam, though, it isn't going to be enough, I don't think. Sam managing the fuel, obviously managing the ERS, but despite that spin, if he keeps it on circuit, I think it's going to be enough for Sam, but he's been pushed hard here from Marley in a really good drive from the Renault driver once again.
Well, Samster now making his way out of turn 10 towards turn... now making his way towards turn 10. That was turn 9. What am I talking about? Where we make our way now through turn 11 with Samster as he makes his way now towards turn 12. As I said before, it's been pretty uneventful, apart from that time he was off the track and that battle with Brumadinho. And he makes his way through the 3 left-handers now. towards the start-finish line. It's going to be another win for Samsa this season. He wins the Brazilian Grand Prix, and what a fantastic race that was for him. Marley then has a 5-second unserved stop-go penalty, which means I'm West moves up to second place with Marley down to third place now. White Fountain on the alternate strategy, finishing in probably what is his favourite finishing position. He'll cross the line in fourth place and misses out on the podium there by just 8 seconds. Matt FNG then making his way towards the line. He finishes in fifth across the line, but then is jumped by Scorpion and finishes behind Scorpion by 0.8 of a second. Jaw and Lukey then making their way up towards the racing line. They'll share 7th and 8th between them as they head towards the line now. But your winner of the Brazilian Grand Prix is the Season 12 Pinnacle champ. It's Samster who wins here in Sao Paulo.
Yes, indeed. Samster back on the top step of the podium. And good mature drive from him, apart from obviously that rare spin that we saw from him there towards the end of the race. But back on the top step of the podium, our Season 12 champion then lifts the trophy once again. But you have to say a good drive from I'm West as well. Great drive from him and from Marley as well. So that's to make his way through that hectic midfield battle, didn't he, that we enjoyed watching all race long. And once again this season, Marley has found his way onto the podium.
Absolutely. Brazil has delivered. And we hope you've enjoyed this one as well as we wait for the official, unofficial results. Samster winning the race then. I'm West in second with Marley in third place. White Fountain picking up fourth place with Scorpion in fifth. Matt FG in sixth with Jaw in seventh. Lukey in eighth place, also getting the fastest lap of the race. Pete there not finishing the race. Same story for Heskey Time, Reflow, Donkel, Lawrence, Brumadinho, CSS, Farth and TK. A lot of retirements at this Brazilian Grand Prix.
Yeah, it was a real race of attrition, and we have served up some really great battles there. Side-by-side racing and countless overtakes. God knows how many overtakes we saw in that race. So it was fantastic, but will spare thought there for Brumadinho because he was in the lead before. He got trapped in the pit lane there, but he's got great pace and his time will certainly come.
Absolutely. And well, a great race, and of course we have the season finale next week, Jono. Under the fireworks of Abu Dhabi. Some people don't like it, but we've got to go there for the last round at Abu Dhabi. And then of course the week after we have our Race of Champions event, which we will talk much more about next week. I'm looking forward to it, Jono.
Yeah, cannot wait. But yeah, obviously Abu Dhabi next week. It's settled in as a great season finale, I think now, and it's an absolute spectacle. You cannot deny that. So really looking forward to it. One more time, we're going to see these drivers go at it, aren't we? Who's going to come out on top for the final time? We will find out in 1 week's time, and then of course, as you say, we've got the charity event the following week as well. And that is going to be absolutely brilliant. Cannot wait for that one. And so yeah, we've got some exciting things to look forward to yet. And then, of course, Season 13 won't be too far away.
Absolutely. And hopefully you will join us next week. Make sure you head over now to see the Prestige tier. Battle it out for position. I think they're qualifying. Mine have just ended. They might just be starting the race. Of course, we did have a delayed start. But I hope you've enjoyed your time here. Hope to see you again next week. I've been Kieran McGinley.
And I've been John Worth.
Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.